So, hi everyone. Today I am with Muzammil. Muzammil is from Berlin. He's originally from Afghanistan, and he got introduced to Rehan School. And today we will just talk about what's going on, what are we doing, why are we doing what we're doing, and a lot of fun. So he's a very cool guy. He invited me a few years ago to Facebook in Berlin. And when I reached to Facebook, they said, "You can't come in." I was like, that was so weird. And you
I
have
think
some
that's more
Facebook
awkward
ID.
for me than
Yeah. So, but he tried and he's a wonderful young man, very entrepreneurial, very fantastic background. I would encourage all of you to connect with him on LinkedIn and Facebook and do his interview and learn from his experience. He also runs a boot camp in Berlin for entrepreneurs to start and make gazillions of dollars using his philosophy and processes and whatnot. So, Mozambique, thank you for your time. And before you ask me questions, I want to know more about your bootcamp. How does it work? What do you do? How do we make a gazillion dollars with your help?
sure. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I think the first thing is we don't necessarily want to focus on people making gazillion dollars if that's their goal. Sure, good for them. I think what I discovered when I moved to Berlin about 10 years ago was the general prospect of the startup ecosystem, that it's actually really thriving and it's very open and it doesn't matter where you're from and what you have learned. So that was kind of my gateway to the tech or entrepreneurship and startup world. And along the way we realized, okay, if you want to work in tech you need to have the skills. And now it didn't matter if you went to a university or if you acquired those by yourself or through a boot camp. So that's why I joined forces with a couple of entrepreneurs in Berlin, and in 2016 we started a boot camp with the idea to teach people rapidly to acquire the skills that are in demand. And that idea has worked for a great amount of time now. But even despite the fact that there are so many boot camps and programs, Germany still remains one of the countries with the most open positions in tech. So this year alone, we have 149,000 open positions for software developers, data scientists, cybersecurity experts, you name it. And that's the idea. How can we actually bring people faster to an employment with the rapid skills, the new way of learning that comes today? Doesn't matter if you have a degree or if you don't. It matters is, can you do the work you're supposed to do? And that's what we want to promote and do with our initiatives.
So, what do you exactly teach in your boot camp, and how long is it for, and who is it for?
Yeah, exactly. So with my company, it's called Star Steps. Our goal is to take a step back. So if someone is considering a career in tech, we tell them, hey, there's too much noise. Of course, there are a lot of opportunities, but you don't know what is the right fit for you. So we offer a 4-week digital orientation to let people try different skills. So such as web development, you write your first line of code, you have this first aha moment, you run your first data analysis, you design the first mockup, you learn about cybersecurity, cloud computing. So you have the opportunity to try different skills and to figure out what fits you best. Once you have figured that out, we don't teach you ourselves, but we'd rather match you with one of our partner boot camps. So we aggregate boot camps. Today we have over 50 different partners on our platform that offer from 3 to 12-month boot camps, and we match you with the right partner. And this is actually because everybody learns uniquely. So if you prefer cohort based, instructor led, offline, online, part time, full time, video based, project based with a job guarantee, these are the different aspects that we look into and we do. And our courses are for everyone who is considering. That's the great thing. You come, you invest 4 weeks of your life, and you figure out if this is the right thing for you or not.
Okay, and how long does it take for you to assess what is this person supposed to do?
The great thing is, I mean, so we have dedicated 4 weeks to this course. That's our flagship program. But at the end of the day, it's as much of the person's decision to decide for themselves than ours. What we do is we give you the platform, we give you the opportunity for you to figure that out for yourself. But if at the end of these 4 weeks you still think you need more guidance, our mentors and coaches, and based on the assessment you get in these 4 weeks, for every aspect that you do, you present at the end a project. And since we are dealing with adults, it's most likely than not they know what they want, but we polish that thinking. So yeah, there's no one answer.
And who is it for? Like, is it only for Germans? Is it only for people in Berlin? Is it sponsored? Is it somebody has to pay for this? How much does it cost?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So, I mean, at the moment we are focused on the German market. So we provide our services Germany wide. We are also a certified training provider with the German government. So in Germany, it's slightly different when it comes to education. A lot of people don't tend to pay, and it's a good thing. You don't have to. So there are government support systems that exist, and our courses are sponsored with an educational voucher from the government. So if you're unemployed and you are looking for a career change, there's a system that you can actually tap into and you can apply for a voucher, and with that voucher you get the course sponsored for you. So that's the business model. But when it comes to boot camps, there are boot camps that are company sponsored. There are boot camps with a typical income sharing agreement. You only pay once you start making money. So there are different ways. If you really want to break into, we will also help you find the right payment and structure for you to get to where you want to get.
Okay, and brilliant. And so from what I understand, it's for people who are adults who want to self-discover, who don't have a job right now. So you teach them basics of technology, and then based on what they enjoy in that course, multiple things you it's like you give them cake, you give them pizza, you give them Chinese, you give them sushi, you give them Thai, and then whatever they like, they end up trying and saying, hey, no, this is what I like. Is that what it is?
That's a great analogy. Yes, I think most often, sometimes people already know that they like Italian, but they would like to try Thai as well, just to see if that. And then sometimes they're like, "Yeah, I think Thai is actually pretty good," or they say, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with pizza." So that's basically a good analogy. And yes, it's mostly adults who actually would like to change their career or improve their career opportunities. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, I'm here. Now it's your turn to ask any questions you have.
But thank you so much. First of all, like we had a very nice chat offline, in a sense, and I think what you said in the beginning, I'm from Afghanistan. My dream is to also um, copy and take the things that I learned here in Berlin, how we can replicate this. So I've started an initiative many years ago. We call it Startupistan. How can we create or turn Afghanistan into a startup nation to bring this mentality of innovating, solving problems, creating companies. And the first part, there could be different pillars. The first part is education. So when we talked about what do you do, what you have been doing, I mean, I've known you now for the longest time, so I think you've been one of the biggest advocates when it comes to entrepreneurship in tech in Pakistan. But I'm really fascinated about your new venture, which is Rehan School, and that's mostly on kids. Like, I was impressed that you can actually convince parents to get them out of a conventional school and bring them to such a unique opportunity. So, I mean, you share that with me, but maybe it's better to kind of share this with the broader audience. I'm pretty sure you have done it plenty times, but maybe it's better to do it again. So how do you do that? How does that model work? Um, and what's your message there?
So, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So, a lot of many years ago, I went to Silicon Valley, and there was this university called the Singularity University. It's for adults, and Singularity kind of teaches how to be a leader for 10 million people, meaning how do you solve a problem for 10 million plus human beings. And it's by Peter Diamandis, and it's Ray Kurzweil. They started it, and 10 other people. And when I saw that, and it cost $35,000 for 3 months. When I saw that, it was something which I thought, well, I wish I was going through this process, and I wish that the children were learning this stuff. So I wanted to create a space like that for youth, anywhere from 10 years of age to 12 years of age, so that we can take advantage of the teen age when you don't have responsibility as an adult to feed your family, to take care of your house and all that stuff. And you are basically learning. You're a student at that age, but you end up learning stuff which you really don't need in life. So my initial idea was to start with a regular school, do something for 4 hours a day. I just wanted 4 hours a day from the child so that I can teach them how to solve any problem, which I have discovered how to do. We all discovered in real life how to solve problem in different ways. And some do solve a big problem, some solve a small problem, and that's what my intention was. And then I have been looking to buy a space, a building, uh, a physical space. So I ended up having a building in Karachi in slums, and I ended up getting in a slum area. But it's a very large building. It's 28 rooms, large, gigantic. Um, Hall, study hall, very open space, a lot of playing area for me to do. So I thought, okay, fine, I got this in a good price. I will start doing something. So the first 6 months, I had no clue what I'm doing. I just let it be. And I found out there is no electricity there. So the first 6 months went into putting in solar panels, and then, other things. And I tried to do many, many small little things. And it just I just let it be organically, growing. But I was still interested in those 4 hours. Um, I also, whoever works for me, I force them to this process. This is course one. I have designed a course where kind of what you do. I have my boot campish type of course where I force people to interact with 50 other human beings online, like we're doing, and I also force them to go through and make interaction with 200 to 500 human beings on Facebook and add them as their friends. What that does is it makes them into a global citizen. It makes them into it forces them to connect with people they're not used to connecting. It forces them to hear questions which they're not used to hearing. It forces them to connect to people who are very different than them. So I started doing the same with my school principals and teachers, and I ordered, put Wi-Fi in the school, and I found out that the principal doesn't use Facebook, the principal doesn't use smartphone, and I was like, oh my god. So I started sending people from my team to teach them, and they would refuse. The teacher now thinks that I am some kind of a agency guy who has been deputed from the United States, or is it CIA or something, and I have some kind of Wi-Fi party where I'm forcing people to go digital. And that's what he says openly to everyone now, that this is what I thought initially. So when we started, pushing people to get online, get on Facebook, start using the internet more, start Googling, start YouTubing, some people left, some students left, and now we have the principal has been around for around 2.5 years now, 2 years or something, and it's evolving. A year ago, less than I mean 9 months ago, I was frustrated. I mean, I lost most of my hair in the last 12 months, and I nothing was really moving in the direction which I wanted it to move. But I started making videos and I announced, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing. If you want to come and enroll, come on over. When I ended up being in a slum area, I also announced, you want to solve problems, right? So money is a problem also. So let's solve the money problem. I was already teaching adults how to earn 100,000 rupees a month, which is around $500 at that time. And I said, you know what, we can teach the same thing to the young ones. So we also said, if you're a student, if your child comes here, we will teach them 50,000 to 100,000 rupees earning. And then people started to come. Some people started to come. One family came, then another family came, then another family came, and I wasn't aware of what's happening. I rarely go there. I just talk with the team, and something started to move and change. And the principal got on Facebook. Slowly, 3 months, 4 months later, he did a live, started using it, and uh, around a year and a half later now, today, we have we have 40 so we had like a normal school. So we removed the 10th grade, we removed the ninth grade, we put everybody in the seventh grade. That's all we wanted to focus on, because I wanted a child for at least 4 years so I can teach them something. And um, so I decided that anybody who wants to leave is more than welcome to leave. I will put in, no new people. I At that point, I think last year January, I got in Jahazeb, who is also listening in the background. He joined us. He is an army, ex-army guy. He started going, and he said, "I'll fix everything," and nothing really got fixed. And eventually, he just he started just going. But whenever you change something, something changes. So he started going, and we hired a couple of more people in the school. It was very hard to hire in that area because I wasn't aware of that area. Now we have teachers from far flung area. One of the guy comes an hour and a half one way just to go to the school and come back, from, just to come in. So we hired a couple of new teachers, and we just let them be. We told them, this is our curriculum. You just come in and whatever, just do whatever. This is what we want you to do. Very unorganized everything, because I did not know what I'm doing. I had no clue how to convince these people to come and start taking interviews or use the computers or use internet. The No matter what I did, the internet would just disappear. I found out that 6 months to a year later, they were cutting down the internet themselves. They were just destroying it. They just didn't want it to happen. So around last year, I announced that anybody who would do interviews, I'll pay them 100 rupees. So I started paying them for interviewing, and then I started giving laptops to I gave laptop to every students in the school. um, first batch was around 40, and now I started seeing some progress. And then around again similar time, I said, well, if you interview a foreigner, I'll pay you double. So I started paying double for interviewing a person in English, these kids didn't speak English. So one of our guy who had done a couple of hundred interviews before, who has been with me, he taught them how to do the interview and just said, you know what, just ask the questions using ChatGPT. You go to their profile, copy everything. And yeah, I forgot. ChatGPT came on the way. So when ChatGPT came, I was like, dude, this is awesome. I don't need to teach them anything anymore. They can learn anything they want. This is so amazing. And it speaks English, and it's just so amazing. So you don't really need to memorize anything anymore. It's better than Google. She teaches a 5-year-old in a 5-year-old language. It's not like Google that you have to explain something. So I went back and again introduced ChatGPT like crazy to everyone. Forced everything on ChatGPT for the first 3 months. I even lost my Facebook account because I was talking so much about ChatGPT, and somebody just complained and they just deleted my Facebook altogether. Um, Anyways, moving forward, they got laptops, they started interviewing, and the guy taught them to interview people in English. And because you don't understand English, you just display the question on the screen and you just nod, okay, and you just memorize one line. So they would just memorize one line, they would ask a question and they will hear the answer, and then they will just say, "Oh, that is great, fantastic answer, what a great answer," and then they just nod, and then they would move on to the next question and the next question, but they were focused on getting that 100 rupees in the end of the day for the interview. After 50 interviews, I mean, first I was like dazzled. What the hell is happening? How are they even doing this? How are they so brave? After 50 interviews, I saw interviews in Japanese, and so in Swedish language, in Turkish language, in Arabic language. I was like, what's going on? So these kids went in and they use ChatGPT to make questions. Then they ask ChatGPT to translate those language in questions in another language. Then they ask ChatGPT how to pronounce these in Roman English. So they memorized again in Turkish and in Swedish and Arabic, and they started doing interviews. And I was like, no, just let's focus on for English for now. So 100 episodes later, I started. I keep an eye on these interviews. I listen to most of them, and I watch and what's happening. And so after 100 interviews, I noticed that some of the interviewees, they would ask questions, and the kids would just actually answer back. So then I called them and I asked them, "How do you know English now? Do you didn't know English?" So, well, we learn somehow. I don't know how, but we know how to speak now, a little bit at least. But at the same time, Jahaze was, we also show a TED talk every day at the school. So we have this concept of the wala. So we give every student a SDG goal to solve, and they that becomes your last name. So you will become Muazzam Aman Entrepreneurship Wala. So, as a task at the school, your task is to watch a TED Talk every single day on entrepreneurship. Then make your own TED Talk, understanding of what you understood, and tag the original speaker. And then when you tag the original speaker, they listen. Oh my God, Ozamil is 12. He's making my video. Oh my God, that's amazing. And then when they say that, they would respond back and say, "Sir, can I do your interview?" So the goal was to actually connect these kids to the TED speakers, these amazing guys on the planet. We wanted them to be connected with. So they would interview them. So they will have the network to solve that problem. So if Muzammil was to watch 1,200 TED Talks on entrepreneurship and connect with 1,200 TEDx speakers who spoke on entrepreneurship and interviewed them for half an hour each, imagine what kind of network Muzammil will have in 4 years. What can Muzammil not do in 4 years? Muzammil knows everyone who's anyone in that network. He can just call them up. Hey, dude, this is what I need. Just like you messaged me, we just met for the first time a little bit, and then it goes on. That's how you actually engage with humans. So that's what we started to do with TEDx. But these kids started to speak English. And then there was another genie which calls Annie. Annie came in, and Annie understands all the languages. Annie is another AI. You can speak to her in any language and it replies back in English. So you can speak in Pashtun, Barohi, whatever, English, Urdu. It listens and it understands and it responds you back in English. So we made it essential in December that every child has to now talk for 10 minutes a day to Annie. And then we wanted to grow it to 25 minutes a day to speak with Annie about anything. And that helps them practice English. So I'm 1000% sure that in the next 12 months, I would have an army, or at least the students which I have, would all be speaking like Americans because Annie speaks like Americans. And because when you speak to Annie 25 minutes a day on camera, and then when you go home, you have your cell phone. And if you get stuck from something, you're going to go back to whom? Annie's your now best friend. She knows everything. So you're going to ask questions to Annie. And that makes your brain work in gazillion ways, because now you're learning on steroids. You're not just learning, you're learning anything and everything you want to learn about. Annie has no limit. ChatGPT has no limit. She knows everything about everything, and it's ready to serve. It doesn't complain, it doesn't shout, it doesn't scream, it doesn't say I'm tired. It's there all the time. So That's our second genie which came out. So now we have around 10 15 students who have done over 100 interviews with foreigners, who have massive networks. um, in February last year, I asked one of my friends from the United States to come and visit us for a month. She was an English teacher and she ended up staying in Pakistan for the whole last year. She has now moved to Pakistan. And then August last year, because now these kids were hunting for humans to interact with, or have a conversation with. It didn't matter what they do. It just they were just matching up with people and say, "Hi, sir, can I? This is what I am. Can I interview you?" So one of the another person they bumped into was a friend called Allison. She gave interview to 10 students, and then I interviewed her, and then she flew into Pakistan and saying, "What's going on? And why are these students like this? Why are these kids talking to people above their pay grade? They have no whatsoever idea that you're talking to a prince or a CEO or a pauper. They're just kids. They don't really care if you're rich or wrong or not. They don't have the bias of that. And they just ask simple questions which ChatGPT tells them to ask. So I have now phenomenal networkers with phenomenal networks who are able to learn anything they want, make videos about anything I want them to. They can create tutorials for me in a day about anything I want. They are able to talk to anyone, interview them. It's like I have like an army of superhumans or ninjas or something. Literally, I was watching this Netflix series Ninja, and I was like, dude, I have actually got a ninja team who is like super amazing on the internet. Unfortunately, all of my teachers did not finish the course. They don't complete their work, but the kids are amazing. The kids are like at going at 100 speed, and the teachers are like at 20, which is fine, but eh, so the kids are just amazing, and they're awesome to teach. They're hungry. They work 8 to 10 hours a day like crazy, and they don't get tired. They're like, you know, uh, and Energizer Bunny. They're just learning, and they're like, I don't get tired. I'm like, how? But there are some students who are not enjoying it, of course. So I tell them to leave the school. They can just find a regular school which they want to become a doctor, an engineer, go there. So our school is now becoming, like you have a school for doctors, you have a school for engineers, you have a department in the university for certain kinds of education. I think what we are creating is a new kind of study, or a vertical, which will create phenomenal networkers. And using the network and the power of communication, we will be able to solve any problem. And because that's my skill, that's the only skill I have. I don't have any other skill. I'm not a programmer. I don't know anything except that I'm able to listen to people, and I am able to understand and repeat myself, and then try to connect them together to solve. Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? And I keep trying, but till I get a yes. Kind of like the Edison model for finding the light thing. And majority of the problems in Pakistan we have identified over 100 have already been solved in the planet. So it's not like rocket science to just find those people who know what the answer is. And when we connect with them, with the government, the secretariats, the politicians, and our job is the thread in between the pearls to complete the whole necklace. Our job is not to, I mean, that's what a CEO, I think, does. His job is to find the right people, put them together in a room, and make them work together. And that's what we're creating. And that's what basically our school is doing.
That's amazing. I mean, thank you so much for the tour. I mean, I heard it, but it's great every time. I mean, there are new information that come in a way. And the great thing is, I told you last time that as a case study, to see how successful or how it works. The great thing is that it's happening all in public on social media. So the track record and everything is actually going to be there, and I'm like really curious to see how those results and everything come together. I unfortunately have to jump out because I have left the oven on because I told you I'm making dinner. So I
Sure, go
have to
for
go check on that. But thank you so much. And I mean, as I said, my dream is to one day also bring Rehan School, but most of all, first of all, Rehan Alawala to Afghanistan and then Rehan School to see that, you know, the entrepreneurs and the kids there can learn from you and your experiences. And thanks a lot for everything.
So before you leave, this is Mr. Daulat, and he runs our online program, which he started a month ago, and I think we're going to expand it very rapidly around some other countries, including the UK, including
Hmm.
Palestine, including India, and he's starting off with anybody who's coming in. So if you have people in Afghanistan, because not everybody is going to study this study, it's a very specific study.
Yeah.
Uh, and if you have students who want to join our school, you can connect
Yes.
with him, and then he can give them a tour and understanding. And if they want to join, that'll be awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, would definitely love to do. I can take it offline with him and see. And I mean, I would be happy to come online again, and then a different one, maybe on a weekend. Then we don't have a hard cut, and we can chat it up. But thank you so much for the opportunity and also sharing the information. I wish you a
Thank
nice
you so
evening.
much. Thank you. Take
Assalamu
care.
alaikum. Bye.
Thanks.